All right, we're live here, and I'm going to start up the live. It looks like it's just me and this guy Jeremy, um, and he's a bootlicker. But let's start this video. Get it to where it's. Here we go. Hey, Jenny, Jerry, John Denicola, TR, how y'all doing? Let me see this here. We're on a bit of a delay right now. If you want to hop on over there too, their chat is live. It's a little bit um, ahead of us, obviously. Actually, why don't I?
He is an expert on police practices. He's going to be helping the city of Akron
Bring us up.
draft a new policy regarding.
Or just do this.
And protest, and they can look it up. And
we'll back up to where we are. But if anybody wants to head over to that chat, Jeremy doesn't like me.
I can't think of any reason why officers would.
Hey, happy media.
Action, especially using force without.
Actually, you know what? Let me just back this up because we're way too far into this. Okay, we can. There's a lot of this woman moving her arms around, telling us about what's about to happen while nobody's on stage. We can watch that. Or oh no, wait, there's somebody over there speaking. Okay, let me go right there. I'm an amateur. What do you want? Hey, William, Michael Tristano,
right,
Matthew the King.
If you would take a seat.
Actually, is it okay that way, or should I bring it up full screen? What do you think?
Well, first thing is, thank you all so much for coming.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
My name is Brant Lee. I'm a law professor at the University of Akron, and I am your moderator today. With me, who will join me on the stage in a minute, is retired police captain Mr. Spencer Fomby. He is an expert on police practices. He's going to be
I am in their chat.
Draft a new policy regarding police interactions with group gatherings, and I'll say more about that in a minute.
And this is about,
I just want to, as an introductory,
how to deal with riots in Akron, but not how to deal with me.
What you see on the screen right now is a brief agenda. I'll be giving you a little background.
Oh, he was calling me a creep because I film in public.
That arise in writing a policy like this, so that you can get a feel for what is possible. We hope to be brief in this part, right? 15 minutes tops. And that's really the heart of this forum. At the end, impressions that he might have that he has not already addressed, and we'll conclude with some guidance about what happens next and how you can continue to give feedback. So the background, just a little bit of history. I'm an academic. I'm going to give you just a little bit of big picture context, which is that we all know that there's a long history
posting something right now
between law enforcement officers and Black communities, large and small, all across the country. And that goes back for decades, and it includes Akron. Some of you may know or remember, depending on how old you are, right, that there was a significant incident that lasted several days in 1968, which at the time the term was civil disorder. And that also raised conflict with regard to how police officers responded. Right? So more recently, of course, there was
the king out there.
National interest in racial policing in the summer of 2020 when George Floyd was killed. And then a few years later here in Akron, we had the shooting death of Jalen Walker.
Which I recorded the
here in
you know
Akron. So we
all
had
the incidents
protests,
that
and then
happened
the
after
following
that.
year, when the decision not to charge any of the police officers involved came out, there were more protests, and then there were lawsuits, right, that were filed afterwards um, that with allegations and evidence that some Akron police officers acted inappropriately. And one particular lawsuit was filed by an organization called the Akron Bail Fund. And that lawsuit focused on what they claimed were violations of civil rights by police in response to their demonstrations. And that lawsuit resulted in a settlement agreement. Right? And the settlement agreement said that the city agreed to adopt a new policy regarding, actually what the settlement says was regarding police interactions with people and groups involved in First Amendment protected activity in the city of Akron. And of course, that policy could also address policing other events that involve large numbers of people, right? So there's going to be a new policy. And there are some provisions for what that policy has to say.
Hey, Aussie
But
Nathan, good to
what the
see you.
settlement agreement also said was the process for writing that policy, right? So there has to be an expert in police practices hired that the parties agreed to, and that's Mr. Fomby. And then there's to be a public outreach.
Akron Slim, are you from
And
Akron, Ohio?
uh, in that public outreach, there's to be a community forum, at least one, and that's what this is. And, and the community forum was to take place before there is any draft of a policy, right? Your input is to be given to us so that we can take it into account as the policy is drafted. I say we, I'm not gonna draft the policy, right? And so, right, the settlement agreement said there's to be a moderator agreed upon by both sides. That's me. We'll get your input, right, during the heart of this forum. And then also, as part of public outreach, the agreement said
I have
that
I
once
have
there is a
more
draft of the
subscribers in the
policy,
city of Akron.
right, it will be
Awesome.
available,
Love you
and there will
guys.
be a 60-day comment period. And so at the end of the
I don't
presentation,
know,
I'll give you
Akron Slim.
information about how to
I'm
make comments on the
guessing
draft when
you
it
eat
comes
at
out.
Subway?
So you will have opportunities before the policy is drafted and after the policy is drafted to give input. So that's what this is, right? This is an opportunity for community input that can inform the drafting of a policy about how police interact with gatherings of
Hey
people.
there, Bruce.
Um,
Good
I
to
am
see you.
really
Got the
honored
gummies.
to
Quite
introduce
tasty.
Spencer Fomby to come up.
Four corners,
Uh,
fists in the
Give me
air.
a minute. I'm going to read something about you, and it's going to take a minute. Spencer Fomby is a retired police captain, SWAT commander, and police trainer with 20 years experience in the San Francisco Bay Area. He's a former captain of the Boise Police Department Training, Education, and Development Division. He served as program manager for the Defensive Tactics and Active. He is a police tactics subject matter expert. He has created and approved de-escalation courses for police officers, and he has coordinated the creation of the National Tactical Officers Association Public Order Response and
Yep.
Operations Standards. I could not possibly have memorized that. I needed to read it.
We
So you can see
went to
we
San
found an expert
Francisco to get
that
somebody to
really
tell
fits
us
the
how
bill
to
and can
manage
share his experience
crowds
with
in
us.
Akron, Ohio. Does that
Mr.
make
Fomby.
sense? Not really. Not to me. Especially what this guy's costing us.
Yes, Professor Lee. And good afternoon, good evening. Just a little bit more on my background. So I graduated from the university, or from Howard University, with a degree in administration of justice, and then started my career working for Berkeley Police Department in the Bay Area. Spent 20 years working there, and as you heard, my tactical background was in SWAT, and I was on the SWAT team there for 16 years. I was an instructor for all things use of force, so I've been a firearms instructor and taught all aspects of less lethal force, and then also responded to a lot of protests and riots in the Bay Area. I've been a leader in those events and also helped come up with plans for those events and also to evaluate those events. At the end of my career, I went to Boise, Idaho as a training captain for 2 years, and there I continued coordinating the response to SWAT operations and protest operations. So I have a total of about 18 years of experience in SWAT and protest response. I also work with the National Tactical Officers Association, which is a national organization that establishes standards for tactical response. And I am in charge of the protest response and creating national standards for protest. So I work with what we call public order exports from the United States, from Canada, from England, and Germany. And we have created the first national standard. And a lot of what I do now is working on civil litigation and criminal cases as an expert witness. So I work on use of force cases, officer-involved shootings, SWAT cases, and a ton of protests. So I worked on a lot of the George Floyd cases for the city of Minneapolis, city of Portland, and Seattle. So to give you some context, I have read a ton of
There's
policies
nobody goes to
that I've
Akron
been
meetings. They're at
response to
the
protests.
auditorium in the main library,
So
which
that's the lens.
I'm not allowed to go in a library in Akron for the rest of my
One
freaking
of the things
life
that I did
because of these
before
douchebags
we're in the beginning of
that
this
run our
process was to
city.
look at
I
policies of Akron PD
fuck them
at
all.
the time of this
Fuck
event,
all these
and
assholes
also look at their
that these
IAPs, incident
fucking
action
liberal
plans,
assholes that
police action
run the city
plans
of
are
Akron.
a way for police commanders to come
Oh,
up with
let's
a
bring
plan,
in a liberal asshole from
guidance
San
to the
Francisco.
field,
Make it
and then try
fucking
to
worse.
evaluate whether
Fucking
the
idiots.
plan was effective.
Excuse me, am
So
I?
I've read some
Yeah, I'm
things.
mad.
So
Something.
when I looked at the existing plan, the existing
Ah.
policy that was in effect at the time of this event, I saw they had a section that was the general policy, how to command and supervise the officers that were going into the field, how to mobilize the officers that were deployed to the field, and
Well,
organize their
we have a
activities.
mayor.
And then
I call
crowd
him
control, which technically
Shameless
crowd management. If you
Malik.
think about that, crowd management is everything before, during, and
He
after the event
is
when things are peaceful.
a
Crowd control
DEI
is
hire.
everything that police officers do when there's criminal activity
That's the way I look at
or
it. I mean, they're
there
all
needs to be
DEI
explosion or people need to
something.
get
I
arrested.
mean,
So
DEI voted
in
in.
our world, especially on the national level, we try to use the correct terminology for everything. So in the existing policy, it talked about crowd
Don't
control,
drive
and then it
angry.
talked about a
Yeah.
progression of force. So different force options based on the threats that
I
police
gotta,
officers were facing at the
my
time.
law firm even wants me to go to the city council meetings,
We talked about
but I can
so
only speak once a
things
month.
that we will address
3 minutes
or update
once
in
every
the
30
upcoming
days.
policy
That's
is
our
the main thing is the foundation.
rules of
So
decorum.
the policy will be grounded in constitutional policing. And in the context of protest, we're talking about First Amendment free speech, that people have a right to assemble, peaceably assemble. People have a right to free speech. They have a right to redress the government of their grievances. Police officers or government agencies can place certain time, place, and manner restrictions on that free speech as long as those are content neutral, meaning it's not about what people are saying or how they're saying it. It's they have a right to free speech, and that any of those restrictions give an alternative way for people to protest. We'll also look at
And
communication. So
that's not
officers
me.
should give
Their audio
announcements
keeps
when things are
going in
happening
and out
and wait
because
for the
they're on
sound
the
of the
Wi
alarm
Fi
or
for
need to
the
disperse the crowd. They should
library,
be
and
given
there's
warnings
500
or should be
computers in there
alarms for
using the
crowd.
Wi Fi.
We
And
would
yeah, they do
encourage
bend the rules, John
self-policing
Denicola. The
within the
Akron,
crowd. And so
the
we want
rubber
people, if it's
capital of the
possible, to
world,
communicate within
of
the crowd,
course,
the members of the crowd, to
you know,
self-police and
bending.
minimize the interaction
Yo,
with the
Iron
police.
Sword, good to
And one of
see
the
you.
processes that we use to encourage that is to have specially trained police officers, what we call dialogue policing officers. They go out and communicate with the crowd in a non-confrontational way, and those officers are not there for enforcement. They're only there for communication. If things need to happen, the policy will define what crowd intervention is, when we take steps for crowd control, if things have met a threshold that constitutes a riot, and how you declare a riot, and then how
I'm
legally
actually
and
doing pretty
tactically
great.
officers disperse the crowd.
Yeah.
The policy
I
will also
mean,
talk
other
about
than
legal
losing the hard
practice. So in the
drive,
United
but
States, we're generally talking about
how
we
long
won't
can
use
I cry
weapons to
about
disperse
that?
the crowd. We won't be using dogs
I
as
made a
crowd control
post.
because
It's
those are too
over.
obvious for us.
Whatever.
But there are other things that will be spelled out in the policy. And then how to detain and arrest people. So
how to
the velocity
detain
around
and
the United
arrest
States is
people.
moving toward actions that identify individuals who are involved in criminal actions and addressing them while still allowing the protest to continue. But then when it reaches a certain threshold, would an objectively reasonable police commander believe that the only way to restore order is to disperse the crowd? And so that policy will give guidance to make sure that the officers know how that's done. And then the last thing is reporting and documentation. So that encompasses everything from supplemental reports written by individual officers, the use of force reports they write to document any applications of
Yeah,
force and
William
dispersal
L.
of the
The
crowd.
whole
After
damn
actual
state.
reports
I
were written by
know.
the
I
incident commander to document
detained in
what the
Fremont,
plan was, how things
illegally
happened in the
trespassed
field, and
in Kent.
lessons learned,
Um,
and making sure that all of that is reported. Another thing
oh
that
yeah,
needs to be
arrested in
reported is any use of
Akron
force
after
and
being assaulted.
accounting
And you can't
of
find that video
additional
on
reports.
YouTube anymore because
So
privacy
in my
strikes. So you
experience,
have to go to my
I've seen
Rumble
policies that
channel.
had not been updated for
Let me kill
5 to 10
nicer,
years.
my
And
former
one of
gaming
the
channel,
biggest
but
issues that we
my
see in
Rumble
community
channel to see
and
videos
potential
that aren't
issues with
here
police
that
response
keep
is that we
getting
don't have
deleted
a
from
policy that's
YouTube.
in line with
Go to my
best
Rumble channel,
practices. So
subscribe
our
over
goal here is
there.
to make
Let
sure that
me,
the
like
community
it's
has
spelled
a
here,
policy that is consistent
kill
with
nicer.
best
I
practices
mean,
in
I'll do it
criminal
with a
justice. So
smile.
I'm interested in hearing from the community any of your concerns, your
Hey,
experiences,
Florida audits. No,
responding or opposing the protest, and any feedback you
this
have
is
on
a
that.
Akron City meeting being held open to the public at the Akron Main Library Auditorium. And I'm not allowed to go there.
So this is really the heart of the program. It's the community forum. It's the time
Hey,
for you to have
Ponzi.
input. Let me just. So as I said before, there's going to be an open session for your comments and questions. You'll see there's two mics set up on either side
They
here.
keep saying there's an
So
open
if you're
session, but they're
interested in
not reading the
speaking
chat.
orally, right, you can come up to a mic and offer your input. If you would rather write down your comment or question, I know that people have already been circulating cards for you to be able to do that. And if you didn't get one and you would like one, I think that if you raise your hand, somebody would see you and be able to.
I'm raising
Provide
my
that to you.
hand. It's in the chat, live chat.
We
You're on
have
YouTube, idiots. You're on YouTube. I'm on your YouTube live. Respond to me. Oh, wait. I'm in my YouTube live.
this
Oh,
slide is just a reminder. Sometimes
rules of
for
decorum.
everybody to have a chance to say something, just if you would sort of remember that there might be other people who want to also have input and to keep
Summit
your
County.
remarks to 5 minutes if possible. Organized 3 buckets, and the idea here is that while of course you should be able to give whatever input you like, in order to avoid um, sort of having a hodgepodge of comments that are all about sort of all different things, try to kind of make 3 buckets so that we can maybe have some themes that we follow and sort of keep that group of remarks together. But this is not a strict requirement. So this is just as guidance. So the first one is just sort of issues around sort of the foundation, the basic principle about free speech and constitutional policing. If you have thoughts or questions specifically about how that gets defined.
Oh, John
or otherwise,
Denicola. You
we'll
mean the
start with
Family
those.
Dollar girl?
But really the big
That yeah, they dropped charges on
category
her,
is
but
if you want to know
I
about
was
sort of
at
what is,
the
as things are happening during an event, whether it's a march
License
or
Bureau on
whatever it
Talmadge
is,
Avenue
sort of what
a
the
few months
police
ago,
guidance will
and
be
the
during
owner of
those
Intel
times.
Motors
That's
in
the sort of
Akron,
middle bucket. And then
something
the
Dickhead
third bucket
Kramer.
is sort of
I can't
afterwards.
think of his
We all
first
have
name right
seen
now. I can
how
just see his
documentation
little
and
troll
reporting
sized
is
body.
important right after things happen
Jeff,
because there
I
are
think it is.
differing
By the way, he
recollections
pled
right, of
guilty in
in fact, what
Portage
happened.
County today, um, for threats
I know that there
on
are other issues
Caveman's
that may be on your
Cam
mind,
and his girlfriend and family and
and you
me
may, right,
for
you
2 counts
and
of
no one's
aggravated
going to control
medicine in
what you
Portage County.
specifically have to
Summit
say.
County or Akron
But
dropped the
just to
charges, but
know
we're
that
trying to get them
Mr. Crombie is here
reinstated.
to help us draft
Just so you know.
that particular
And
policy.
um,
You are probably aware that the
this
city
is
is
part
undertaking
of
a
me
separate
putting
process
pressure
to
on
hire
the
a
city
different
of Akron to make them understand
expert
that I mean
or group of
business,
experts to draft a
because
use of force
I'm not
policy,
just going to
right?
sit
And that
here at
discussion is
home and
also going on.
stream this shit.
Um,
I'm going to
this
go into
policy,
these
of course,
meetings. I'm going
involves
to
use of
go
force
into
or
the
overlaps with that.
prosecutor's department
But just
and
to
I'm
know
going to
that you have
demand
specific
that they reopen
comments
this
that are
case
about
against a
what that policy
maniac
should look like.
that pulled a gun on me, pointed at my
That will be a
freaking
different
face,
group.
and said he
Do
was going to shoot
you want to
me.
say anything else before we sort of invite people to speak?
John S.
Let's get going.
Blog. Dude,
I don't know if this is.
you're like a ghost. You're sometimes you're
So
here,
here's the
sometimes
first
you're
group,
not,
right?
or
If
it's
any, if
just the
anybody
algorithm.
especially wanted to address issues having to do with free speech, having to do with
Yeah, Florida
raising
audits.
an
Are you
umbrella
from
of
Summit
questions
County?
about
Holy
how
cow.
policing is done in that
I
context.
used to live in Florida,
Maybe you start
one of
there.
those snowbirds, you know,
As
kind of
see,
like you are probably.
This one is kind of abstract. So
What's TalkTick?
I would like to address the elephant in the room.
No, I know. I haven't been
Nobody
doing
here
that.
feels safe to come forward.
I lived in the
This
Tampa,
is a
St. Pete area.
terrible platform in which to get feedback from the community around what is a community trauma that was how the police handled the Jalen Walker uprisings in our community. And as somebody that was very boots on the ground around that, this feels like a trap. So this one-off town hall formation that we have as a city for addressing deeper policy concerns is, excuse my language, bullshit. I think a lot of
Muted.
people that don't work for the city government are shaking their heads yes. Right now.
This is
So,
why I
there's
started
not a lot of
sharing
people
this.
here because this feels like a trap. Now, I could talk about what it feels like to stand in front of a damn tank in this city. I could talk about what it feels like having to step back from your constitutional First Amendment rights because you're pregnant and you're terrified of an aborticide forcing you to lose your child. But I can't have those conversations in this setting.
can I ask you a sincere question? I actually really appreciate that. I had not thought of that. If you, this one is already planned the way that it is, so we can't really change that. Are there? Would it not feel like a trap?
And I appreciate that question because you know what I do for a living. And produce systems in which give real, honest reconciliation.
Were
right?
we
know
neighbors?
reconciliation
I
means
grew up in
circles and
Ellet.
town halls.
So
You know,
organizing community circle
here, let me
discussions would have
spell
been
it since
better.
most people
Way
can't
better.
spell Ellet.
Way better. And just the I mean, it's great that we can get some things put on public record here, and maybe I'll come back up and say a couple of things because I'm white and I have the privilege to do that. But I'm white and I have the privilege to do that, and other people in this room do not.
Thank you.
Oh shit, she has white privilege.
I also have a
Ditzy.
privilege, and so I stepped forward today to start the conversation. But Elizabeth is right. This is a very difficult environment to speak. Councilman Garrett's community forums had a lot more people than this. I think the way it was set up was up and open. Might not have been so intimidating.
Caucasian Falls. Yeah,
But
those
I'll start the
goofballs.
conversation by asking a few questions and making an observation. First, there was footage just recently from Idaho of frightening, but above and beyond having someone put on your hands on you is not knowing who's putting hands on you, where they came from you. So I would like Mr. Bomby's response to that. But I also wanted to ask a question about, are there differences in what is a planned protest that has a permit and the police can mobilize? And I would hope remind officers about First Amendment protections and restraint and how to keep themselves even keeled, especially if it's about their actions. And then what happens if it's a impromptu protest because of something that's happened and the community and maybe tensions are high? Whose responsibility is it then to step in and make sure that the police
What?
response also
Canton Road.
remains
You know,
concealed and
I met
appropriate?
the mayor of Akron, or at least he said he was the mayor of
Which
Akron,
restraint is used
special needs gentleman. And he was walking down Canton Road with one of those little tiny notebooks and a pen. The notebook fits in your hand, tiny little one, and he's writing down things and he's asking people their names and phone numbers or addresses. But he said he was the mayor and nice guy. Not not Cyrax, the guy on the west side, or whatever that fucking freak
Thank you
troll
for your
is.
question. I think to your first point, we would always say as a national best practice that
It's
officers
a
have to be
silent
identifiable.
P.
So if an
P.
officer is wearing a uniform and is out
It's
in the
like
field performing their law
instead of
enforcement duties, you have to be able
peeing
to
while
identify who that person is.
standing,
Now, there are
you
different rules
sit
and
down.
laws in
It's a
different
silent
states. Where I
P.
came up in Berkeley,
Thanks,
we
TR.
wore our names and badge numbers on our uniforms. They were prominently displayed on my protest helmet. It had my number on the helmet, and people could identify me if I in the middle of a crowd and say, "Okay, that's Spencer." Hey, S7 did something, and I have a problem with what he did. And they look at the line, and they say, "Oh, S7, that's Spencer Fomby." So the only caveat to that is there have been times, and I've been the victim of doxing by people on both ends of the political spectrum. And because of
Oh,
that, there have been some
oh,
agencies that have been
doxing.
reluctant to have
Let's talk
officials
about
name their full name
doxing.
and badge number. The only
Akron
workaround that we found is if
police
you have a unique identifying number for that
doxed
event on a
me.
planned protest, and they can look it up and account for, okay, we know this was
They
this particular
actually
officer,
told people,
that
hey,
is one way to do that.
they
But
went to
I
city
can't think
council
of any
meetings
reason
and they
why
said,
officers would
hey,
be in
if
the
you
field
see that
taking
guy
police action,
filming in
especially
public,
uniforms, without being identifiable. Okay,
call him
so that's
Stephen Kelly
okay.
and he
All
won't
right,
put you
and
in
just
his
so
videos.
okay, and just so we're clear, my position here is not to advocate for any
Um,
person. I'm not here representing the police department. I'm not advocating for the activist community or for the plaintiffs or for the mayor's office. I'm here to give
Interesting.
my opinion based on my experience,
Kenmore.
and that is my opinion. So uh,
My first audit was
there
in
is a difference, and the policy puts
Kenmore.
guidance on
I
planned
actually
protest.
was
So
walking up and
in my
down Kenmore
experience, if you have
Boulevard with
some
Caveman
information that there's
Scam.
going to be a
We were
protest on a
both
certain
open
day at a certain
carrying, so
location,
we were doing
and
a
you're gathering
1A,
intel for the
2A
purposes of any type of potential
audit
threats
and
that might happen at
attending
the
the
event.
first Friday in
We
Kenmore,
deploy the appropriate
so
number
it
of
was kind
officers
of
and
fun.
resources to deal with that event. There's very
HR puffing stuff.
those, whether that's
My
just something that
favorite
happens in the
show.
neighborhood and the neighborhood just spills out, and all of a sudden we have a small number of officers and upset members of the community that turns into something larger. That's a very different response. When that happens, it's typically a patrol sergeant or maybe the watch commander if here there's
Why do the kids have guns?
level who has to get there, get a
Because
sense of what's happening,
they're left in
prioritize the response, and then
alleyways.
start taking certain
They
actions.
can
So
you know,
those two
sell
responses are
some
very different.
drugs and buy them
So
illegally with the stuff rubbed off. Why do I have guns? Because I can go to a freaking store and buy one. I passed the background check. It's pretty damn easy if you don't commit felonies.
The staff when they come back, I was with the staff back and see what has become of our town. I don't know if the audience is aware of the protest that took place on Copley Road after David Walker was elected, but it got
Yeah, TR. That's the way it is. It's Akron. It's Summit County. Hell, Medina County. Um, it's a feelings, total feelings bullshit. You audited in Kenmore? It's like on Kenmore Boulevard, TR? Holy cow. I, I got, hey, William L. Ashtabula County. Okay, yeah, I'll get there. But Kenmore, I mean, I got jumped by 6 dudes in Kenmore. That hurt, I think. Yep, yeah, yep, that fucking hurt. Not a fan of Kenmore. I'm going to go back, of course. I'm going to keep going everywhere in Ohio, but Kenmore, ugh, just nasty.
people that serve under me not doing what they're supposed to do. That needs to happen here in Akron because it's not being done. The officers and the stuff that's going on here is being done because it's allowed for them to be done. Everybody blames the union. They don't work for the union. They work for the chief and the mayor. If they can't do what they're supposed to do to control the force, maybe they need to get another job. Nothing's out.
Thank you.
Yeah, the mayor can get another job.
sir, I'll just say
Family
that
Dollar.
I appreciate your comments, and although it is outside the scope of this particular project, one of the hardest things that we have to do
Oh, and I don't know about you, but I'll be
is the
sharing this
culture in
video
each agency, and every police
like on
agency has a different culture.
LinkedIn and with
I went
the
from
city of
Berkeley. I've worked in
Akron,
two different
Akron
police departments in two different
Prosecutors
states. I went from
Department, and
Berkeley,
all that
California,
other stuff
as
because
liberal as you can get, to Boise,
they
Idaho.
love the
So I went from
attention
the
that I
opposite end of
give
the
them.
spectrum. And so yes, cultural change and those things that's a long term issue. And I just want to acknowledge your comment that the culture within any organization is a huge challenge.
I appreciate it. I like your response. I was first saw three different units, three different deployments. All of the services, it didn't matter what unit I was in. I was still never trying to listen. I understand everybody's different. Every time that I was a different mission, I had to manage that culture. I was not the leader. I was going to be fired, sent somewhere else to the desk or something. I can't handle the job. So I understand what you're saying. If you're going to be in that position where you're in charge of the culture, then do that. Or step down.
Oh, cool, Florida. I actually had a computer repair store and a thrift store on the boulevard as well, but not in the 80s.
I did it in a Santa suit, actually. Um, so, take back what gentleman's words. The real problem, from my point of view, in Akron, is that culture, is that habit. It's being reinforced from higher ups that aren't holding the lower officers accountable. I'll tell you this, I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan. I was able to go once before. That was great. Afterwards, I went out and I was on Broad Street where everyone gathered. Some people were being stupid, some people weren't. But the police that I dealt with and interacted with are polite. They were polite. They weren't rude. You know, in Akron, when I interact with police, either protesting or I've interacted with you guys not protesting, that, like the gentleman said, they have an attitude about this. And it's frankly bad customer service, if you want to kind of give it a title. Um, and I think somewhere in this policy, as well as use of force policy, the attitude of officers need to be addressed. Because I was not at conflict, but I believe people when I say people weren't being violent or crossing the line. And the police came aggressively at them. Many times the police will be very aggressive at you, like they don't want to be there, they're pissed off that they have to actually do their job. It's really frustrating, and that's got to be
Thank you.
I think I've done an audit in Stowe, and I don't mind doing audits in Stowe at all. It's pretty damn close. You know, Stowe, Hudson, Cuyahoga Falls, Kent, all that stuff. It still doesn't make a dent. I'm just going around and filming, and it doesn't get noticed enough. So maybe we should go out and share this more. Oh, I was doing a John Felix thing. Sorry. I gotta let John Felix do his own thing. And only in my shorts. Why did TR say that? Because I asked, do you recall Mud Run? Yep, only in my shorts. Boom. And that question was for Florida audits because he knows Kenmore.
Two to three people. That's the problem. You're sitting the community down where what's being done with the Akron Police
I'll be
Department.
back momentarily.
They keep saying that the problem, you got to come out to the parents. Well, the problem start at home as far as the Akron Police Department has too. The FOP, starting there. Because what you're doing now, it sounds like you guys are preparing for what's to come. There's going to be another protest because now we have another issue with Jasmine talking. What are we going to do? They brought you here, I don't know, more tax dollars we're spending. Why? No one's addressing the internal problem within the Akron Police Department, and that's the problem. They have a systematic problem. They steadily harassing every day. Another video just can't surface on my Facebook. 2024, the kids in the park, they had a community center. It was a group of them at a community center in the park. What are we doing? What are you going to do?
Can I ask you a question? So I've heard twice, and before this meeting, I had a chance to interact with some members of the community. So when there's an event like Juneteenth event, and it would make sense to have police there to keep the peace, what does that feel like from the community's point of view? Is that something that's welcome?
We've been having the Juneteenth event for the last, 27 years? The city of Akron is co-sponsors of that event.
TR, it's better to be a smart ass than a dumbass.
There's only two. And it was 7 members of the Fred Hampton Gun Club. I don't know if they got nervous. We're here for the neighborhood.
She said, "We're here for the neighborhood."
That's why we are here. But then they turned and left. And then what happened? Violence. It's like that was a setup. They was waiting because they knew it was 300 kids there. There's an internal problem within the police department. Until
Hibernians,
you
is that
guys fix this, all of this is irrelevant. And it's wasting my tax money. I work every day. I'm tired of it.
was that North Hill? The Hibernians?
Last these sit downs. This should have been happening. I'm not gonna say it's too late because it's always gonna be a brighter day. But right now, the community, the entire community, is over this. We're over it.
Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Fondy. We organized the protest on Copley. That ain't the first protest that we have organized. That ain't the first protest where Akron APD has acted completely. The reason why Copley Road happened, the reason why it got leaked out, is because they actually maced a news reporter not blend in with the protest. They maced her, and then she went live. If she wouldn't have went live, y'all would never knew about Copley Road because that happens all the time.
Hibernians.
What happens on Copley Road happens at almost every protest that we put out. We're getting maced. We're getting dragged.
So Hibernians on Waterloo Road?
Follow us, pull us over for no thing. But I'm gonna say this.
Like a Hibernian lodge?
One thing about me, I do work. So I pulled your law enforcement, Spencer Bondy resume, and I pulled your whole introduction. Questions that I have. Do you know that there was 4 men killed since 2022? Lawrence Rogers, February 23rd, 2022. Jalen Walker, June 27th, 2022. Mike Jones, August 17th. The two of them had the same officer, Devon Fields, who is still on, right now, he has 36 use of force accounts against him. And he's on paid leave right now. Not okay. Not okay.
Yeah, it's called,
not okay. That's what I want done.
what do they call that?
I know your job is to come over here. You want to get the community together? Fire him.
I hate,
We all know what for. Fire Devon Fields. Because right now, with him being in, still being here, it's a slap in our face. It's a slap in our face. These officers don't care. They don't care. We go down to city council, they was laughing at Jasmine's mom while we were standing outside waiting to get to city council.
Hibernians off of Brown Street.
So, I mean, we got to the point where we had to start having our own news because no offense.
They call it the J Club.
Change the narrative in a heartbeat and make it look like we the problem. So what we did is we got our own black media to cover the real actions of what happened. The only thing I don't like about these forums is that, no offense to anybody here, is that the protesters live it. Y'all might see it, but we live it. We are harassed on a daily basis. They call me by my Facebook name. I get pulled over and they call me Ariel. That is not my government legal name. So when you pull me over and call me Ariel, I know you want some bullshit. Excuse my language. It's serious. It is serious. Questions that we have. Why do we keep having these meetings? We just had a forum meeting last month, twice. Why do we keep having these meetings? It feel like the
And then no,
like we're the ones in the community are the ones
Mud Run is off of Hawkins, and it goes up to where Rolling Acres Mall used to be up that area, and now there's a golf course there called Mud Run Golf Course.
And why at every meeting it's addressed that APD and the FOP is the issue, and they are still not being held accountable.
Dirty. Oh.
So I appreciate your comments. What I will say is the reason that
I know
right now
I know a
is
bar you're
because
talking about on Kenmore Boulevard. That's the bar I was
City of
jumped by
Akron,
6 guys in.
police chief, the mayor,
Dirty
it
marks or
would not
dirty
be
something
in your
bullshit.
benefit
Or
to have me write a policy
the fuck
without
was
your
it called?
That is the reason for this. So
Not
I
no,
understand
not
how
dirty something.
it
It
can be
was.
frustrating to feel like you're not being heard. But the whole reason that we are here right
Nah,
now is
we're
so that
talking
we
about
can get
different
feedback.
shit.
It is
20
not a
years
problem for me to
apart.
sit down and write a policy. I can write a policy and send it forward. I guarantee you it will be in line with best practices. But we believe you should have some feedback. As far as the officer involved shootings, obviously I can't comment on those. That is what I do every day. I review officer involved shootings. I work with plaintiffs and I sue the police sometimes, and I work with the defense and if my opinion is in support of the police. So I try to be objective, but I'm not in a position to comment on those particular shootings.
So on your resume, it says that you did 75 protests, including George Floyd protests in 2020, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is what I have to say about that. Those protesters tried to burn that place, that city to the ground, right? Period. They did. We ain't did none of that. How do we get arrested for not doing anything that they did?
Lies. They did start fires. They did break into buildings. They did attack people. Lies, lies, lies. That's why you got arrested. Now they broke out the front window and threw fire bombs into a black owned business in Akron that said black owned over the boards, you know. I'm over here muted and talking. Anyways, it's been a lot longer than they said it would be, but that's cool. We got about 10 more minutes. And hopefully people get closer to the microphone so we can hear what they're saying.
Can I address your comment and your question? So what she asked me was, do I have opinions on these individual shootings? I have not reviewed them. So
Look, hey, hold on. Hold on. Look, can I just make a comment? You know, can I think that you are you are correct to say that this forum. You're correct to say that this forum is not adequate to serve many purposes that are important. This, we're here, I can tell you specifically why we're here, right? There was a settlement agreement with the lawyers for the Akron Bail Fund, and what was required was a community forum. I'm not gonna defend whether this will serve your purposes. I'm not gonna defend whether this is gonna solve the key core problems, right? But Mr. Fomby is an expert in policy. That's what he's reviewing. That's what he's going to do. It may be that the policy won't resolve the problems that you are describing. I think Mr. Fomby now has a really good picture of what he's dealing with regard
What
to
are
what's
policies?
happening in how it's being perceived in the community.
I only know
So,
what
I mean,
laws
again,
are. What
I
are
don't
policies?
object or deny any sort of anything that you're saying. It's just that there's not that much that we can do to respond to it.
The Akron Bail Fund.
There it is.
Not about us.
Policies do not
What she's trying to say is
trump.
you guys have to look
I
at
mean, we can't say Biden or Kamala.
and I wish that you would reach
Law.
out to us. The people, the community,
It's as simple. Policies do not trump law. So your policies
ain't been to a protest.
and whatever.
They might read about it. They might see it on TV. Oh my God, they got
Akron.
on Coffee Road. But my 12-year-old daughter was out there. It was kids out there. It was a baby in a stroller out there. It was a peaceful protest.
My local trolls tell me to go record on Copley Road. You know what? Copley Road. Here I come. You know, but how am I going to be treated over there? We'll see. We will see because I'll be carrying my camera.
Because I said justice for Jalen Walker. And I'm going to stand on it. Justice for all of them. Justice for Jasmine Tucker, Mike Jones, Lawrence Rogers. I'm going to stand on it. And if you, we're not trying to come out at you. And I'm sorry that you are the target. But I have been doing this since Typee Rice. Okay? I led one of the biggest protests for George Floyd here, where we blocked off the overpass. Then led another big one in Coppey. These are the people. We're the protesters. And it's a few other ones that can't come out because literally they're targeted every day. So they're in hiding right now.
So I want to address something that I heard, all of what I hear you saying and that I agree with is there will be another protest. There will be other protests. In any city I go to in the United States, I'll tell them, oh, you're going to have a protest. There's going to be a controversial officer-involved shooting. There's going to be something that happens. The biggest protests that I was ever involved in, they actually were riots. 2014, Eric Garner, a person at Staten Island, New York NYPD kills a black man in custody in Staten Island. 5,000 people show up to Berkeley Police Department. Right.
Shit.
The next one, May 29th of 2020.
Florida audits. We were neighbors.
The most violent riot that I've ever been involved in, and I agree. I know
they made Mud Run Golf Course across the street from my father's house. He had a 10-acre ranch that was formerly owned by a trash hauler in the Kenmore area.
My goal here is to make sure
with a barn, a 4-car garage, the 2-car attached garage, the 4-bedroom house, the finished basement, and we put in the 700 feet of arborvitaes to block off the view from Hawkins as people passed on by because we were the first house turning left off of Morse coming from East Avenue to head down to Iona where Kenmore Freeze is.
Y'all hear me now? So this is my view, right? We know that this is a systematic issue. We know the origin of where the police keep.
Everybody knows my name, so I don't mind telling them where the fuck I lived. Steve Kelly. Oh, 1941 South Hawkins Avenue. Look that one up. 1941 South Hawkins Avenue. 10 acres. It was incredible.
Right? And y'all think that's not important, but that's why we're literally here today doing the same thing over and over again. How do we leave a country for this freedom, for this and for that?
Yeah, both of them.
Worse than what they had before.
Criminals. Thank you, Michael Tristano. Let me put that up on. Boom. There's Michael Tristano sitting on a car saying, look at all those criminals sitting in the stage. There they are, right there. One from San Francisco and another one that's cross legged and supposedly a man. I don't know how a man sits that way.
Person with 36 infractions,
It-
2 other shootings. How was he able to still have a job? How was that even possible? So not only does he need to be held accountable, but everybody else who let that slide needs to be held accountable. But if we keep looking at the one person who they're allowing to take the heat for anything, because I'm talking about Jasmine, because if the shit didn't happen with Jasmine, we would not be here right now. So I'm going to focus on what's important.
See, I went live earlier on their. Well, I didn't go live and do it, but I was in their video, their YouTube for City of Akron for Arbor Day, and they would listen to me. And once again, here they're not listening to anybody that goes into that chat. And if you want to go there,
I don't understand how we sat in a meeting with Jasmine's family and they made us go through
right here's the link to the City of Akron's live. You can go check it out.
It's the
There,
FOP and Brian Lucy.
let
But
me
there's nothing we can do about it. And they said it so fast, and right after they said that, they
exit
said,
full
we have a
screen.
way bigger budget now to work with. Why are you using hundreds and thousands of dollars that's being donated and given or taken from our tax dollars? After you just said there's nothing that you can do, we know the issue here is the
Oh, I definitely need to post something here.
you are sworn in to protect and serve.
Why
Period. So when
do
you get sworn in to protect
Akron
and serve, if you commit a crime, you should be held to the
prosecutors
furthest legal extent because you
keep
took that oath to protect
dropping
and serve. If I were to shoot somebody that was
charges
running away from me, I would go to jail,
against
even if I got a bond. Davon Fields has been
people
locked up. He should have had his day in
pointing
court. But we're not doing that,
guns
right? So at
at
the end of the day,
me
y'all see
and
wasting money doing shit like this.
threatening
So
my
wasting all of this money.
life.
So why are y'all not taking these funds and actually doing what needs to be done and pulling and getting internal affairs involved?
Oh, I better tag Akron, Ohio. These rubber duckers.
Already know. What y'all already know, once again, and then when y'all leave here, it's gonna be the same shit. So at the end of the day,
all right, well, maybe Akron, Ohio will like, reply to me.
Not seen anything happening. We did this with Jalen Walker. And they,
You see right there, let me audit. You said, why do Akron prosecutors keep dropping charges against people pulling guns,
I don't understand.
pointing guns at me and threatening my life?
It's been the same thing being
I mean,
said
that's a good question.
because they know how this shit is about to. Or they're trying to make sure that when it's all said and done, we come together and we walk peacefully. That's what this is what this is about.
Thank you.
Talk about what I said in chat. Come on, you city assholes, you pieces of garbage.
We are right. Let's hear the next person.
So answer me now, Akron, Ohio. Reply immediately.
So
Do it.
how do we even begin to write policy of how to control crowd when I feel much safer seeing my community leaders than I would seeing APD show up? I am married to a white
These idiots don't know that I can simply go 12 blocks and end up in their city offices recording them.
where I
And
have
I
to
can do it all day long tomorrow if I want to.
then I get nothing but disrespect from APD. I didn't have one interaction with an APD officer that I didn't actually felt like I was a human being to them. So how do we even begin to write this policy when we as a community would much rather see our friends from freedom, would much rather see our friends from the protests, because we know we're safe with them. We do not know we're safe with APD. In fact, it's been very much often proven wrong that we are not safe around APD. If I were to come aggressively toward an APD officer, yes, I would be detained. I am protected in as much that I am a handicapped white woman, that I would just be detained. If my friends were protesting the same thing, she would be body slammed to the ground. I can guarantee it 150%. Because she's not a black woman. And this is Akron. So I appreciate that
Yep. So I'm going to see if they reply to me here,
trust
but it doesn't look like they're going to. Um,
by way too many deaths. 50 deaths of just black men in the past 25 years in Akron.
and I
I'm
posted,
not talking poor, indigent white people.
I posted this
50 black
in
men
their
in
live,
25 years.
and the response from City of Akron. I posted
We as a community have had enough.
this
So, as far as
in
controlling
their
crowd,
live,
I understand
and they've still ignored me.
Thank you.
Um,
I'm clearly not any good at it, so
So just like she said, the Akron Police Department, I
and
can just give you a few incidents that happened to me.
this as well right here. This,
Suspended driver's
you know,
license. The Akron police officer told my 5-year-old biracial daughter that
you
your
know
mom is very
they
bad.
don't care.
Don't grow up and be like your mom. You know, and that traumatized my daughter. I was driving without a license. It's not like I killed somebody. That happened on her return
TR,
to
you know, did you
2008.
see
My
my
brother was
video
younger.
where
We
that
both were
asshole
students.
pulled a
After
gun
we
on
got
me
into an
at the title
altercation,
bureau
I went to pick him
before
up
it
at an
got
officer's
taken
office.
down by
Here I
YouTube?
am, 14.
They dropped charges on him, not
I'm an
felonious
aware because
assault.
it's all,
They dropped charges. He pled guilty
and I did not.
in Portage
That happened
County
to me in
today, but
2008. Now
we're just
fast forward
trying.
to
This is part of
2023,
me trying to
and you know,
deal with
yeah,
Akron
we're hanging up signs for Jalen Walker,
and
and
going
Akron police are
into
posting
the
videos,
prosecutor's
cutting them down.
department.
Be peaceful. Last night at the meeting, Dustin says, if me and my sister, oh, at that point it was just two people. He said, this isn't.
These people are just here to bitch about them breaking the laws mostly.
Well, that's our point. You need it. We're only allowed to speak.
Well, maybe not her. I mean, like
So then
somebody,
officers cut down the.
but you know, It's crazy. There's
No,
people
no,
that
no,
want to bitch about their right to break the law, and
we're
there's
good to
people
us.
that
Well,
want
then,
to
I
bitch
said,
about their right, to stay within the law. This,
I drive my mom, my
and I'm
dad passed
supposed to
away
be on both sides.
in
I don't think so.
Officer Heller sat outside my mom's house daily just for us protesting and hanging up signs. Won't have a conversation with me, but will roll their window and laugh at me. And I'm white, and I'm a white woman. So how do you think it is if you have black skin, like my sons? So they need the work. And then for them to say that we're animals, we don't go around doing what they do. And like I just said, just by my few examples, that's the Akron Police Department to a white lady. So I could only imagine what would happen if it was one of you guys or my own son or grandchildren in Akron. I tried to reach out every day to the mayor. Nothing came back. Finally today, the chief police, but he's like you. He won't talk. He don't eat, he's not ignoring me, but he can't talk to me. So it's got to end. And it's not going to end because this is just a repeat cycle, over and over again. Thank you.
Thank you.
But
I
he
have
did
a,
plead guilty in Portage
I have a couple of
County
questions that
to
were written. One of
counts
them is about
of
after an event, so I'm going to hold on to that
aggravated
until a
menacing,
little later. But let
and
me read
we
this
are
other one.
working on
Why is
reopening
there
the
monitoring of a
investigation
protest? Is there any way we can have a standby
in
order
Summit
for a
County.
set period of
So
time of at least 2 hours where officers would not be able to mobilize for protests like they
TR,
have to
believe
like
me,
this?
I'm going to be in the
I'd like to know
office,
about that.
prosecutor's
Is that
office.
a scenario that's familiar to
My
you?
brother's calling him.
If you're
His
talking about
girlfriend's
Columbus, I think
calling
what you're
him.
referring to
Have
is the
you
dialogue
seen
policing
the short
program. So
videos
I work with Dr. Clifford Stott from the
of
UK,
the
who
guy
is a
calling my
veterinary and
brother's
crowd scientist who
girlfriend and
developed a
threatening to
program
kill
around
everybody?
engaging with crowds,
Everybody that
albeit
was
in
there.
a model that's more of a negotiated model versus having officers show up in tactical
And he
gear
threatens
and
our lives
confront the
in
crowd.
front of
So
deputies.
that
Then he
concept would
threatens
basically
us
lend
again in front of a
to
police
officers showing
officer
up,
in
especially trained officers who look different. In Columbus, they wear white
Akron.
and blue vests, so they're easily identifiable. They move into the crowd, they communicate with protest leaders, and they basically facilitate the gathering. And
Yeah,
they
the
don't take any prisoners.
prosecutor, what's his
And
name?
so
That
that is a
piece of
model that
garbage.
we are now promoting around the United States. It's
Can't
simply
think of
called
his
show up.
name right
It's
now,
still in
but
uniform. It is definitely an evidence-based
yep,
approach
I
to
got his
resolving conflict. And
his
one of the challenges we
phone
have culturally all
numbers.
around the United States
What do you call
is
that?
a lot of my work
Extension.
on protests was
I
all the
know
events that
where
were
his
happening in
office
Summer
is and all
2020,
that
and I
shit.
reviewed a ton of
I'm
them.
on it.
And one of the
I
common
just
themes that we saw around the United States was it was a
tomorrow.
protest that was
It's
about
6:38
use of force or
p.m. So I'm not
violence,
doing anything
and then the
tonight.
police show up and confront the people protesting the police. And what happens? Okay, that is a common theme. We know it is an issue in the profession, and that's one of the reasons that we're trying to create programs like dialogue policing to create that type of de-escalation effect.
Closer to the mic. Tilt it up a little.
Put your mouth on the microphone.
So if there's a protest happening at all, it's already because the community feels wrong in a way that hasn't been fixed. I also am really curious about the language of your policy. You say there's 60 days. Is that
Yeah, TR. I mean, the prosecutor said it was they dropped the
The answer
case
to that is
because
yes.
first off, we didn't seem like we were scared, and second, we didn't cooperate. Well, we gave them all the video footage. We gave them screenshots of threats, you know,
So, to be clear, some
and
of the terminology
we
you saw
did
on the
call
screen was riot
911.
declaration, right? Declaring a riot.
So,
So
yeah,
typically what
I had
occurs
a
if there's
gun
a
pointed in
peaceful
my face.
protest
I was
and
pretty
isolated
scared. I don't
criminal
call
activity within the
911
protest,
often,
one
that's for
person who
damn
broke a window,
sure.
one person
But
who
when there's a gun
spray
pointed in
painted a
my
wall,
face,
that is
oh,
not
wait, I
the
didn't
threshold
call. Did
for
I?
declaring what we
Oh,
call
yeah, I did.
unlawful assembly.
I did. I
The
did
unlawful
call, but
assembly
I was
declaration
recording while I did it.
is challenging because it is an objective one. It's one of the things that I have to evaluate all the time. It's the decision by a police commander to declare an unlawful assembly and tell all
I
these
had a
people that they
case
can no longer
against this
protest.
stupid
So
Family
some of the things I'm
Dollar
looking for
bitch,
is this something that could have been addressed
you
by
know, but
removing the person who's
nope,
committing a crime, or
denied.
where there's so many
And
people
then
involved in kind of organized criminal activity,
because
or so
she
many
was a
people using force
manager,
against the
Family
police and members
Dollar,
of the crowd,
they're
that any
culpable
reasonable commander would
for
have
her
said, we
actions, and
cannot
I could have
safely allow this
sued,
protest to continue.
and I still
And
can.
when that happens, then
Uh,
the tactics would typically be to
limitations
disperse that
for
crowd
time or
after
whatever it's
giving
called,
announcements
it's not
and
up
time to
yet.
comply with those announcements.
Um,
A riot is
I
something that is
just,
defined by state
I just
statute.
got to come up with
And so every
money
state has
once
different
again
thresholds,
for
and
that.
some states
So,
don't even have a rule for what a riot is. But typically around the United States, that means 2 to 5 people engaged in violence or property damage.
wait, wait, wait. I got to back that up. I was talking.
Right, declaring a riot. So typically what we have is if there's a peaceful protest and isolated criminal activity within the protest, one person who broke a window, one person who spray painted a wall, that is not the threshold for declaring what we call an unlawful assembly. The unlawful assembly declaration is challenging because it is an objective one. It's one of the things that I have to evaluate all the time. It's a decision by a police commander to declare an unlawful assembly and tell all these people they can no longer protest. And so some of the things I'm looking for is this something that could have been addressed by removing the person who's committing a crime, or where there's so many people involved in kind of organized criminal activity, or so many people using force against the police and members of the crowd, that any reasonable commander would have said, we cannot safely allow this protest to continue. And when that happens, then the tactics will typically be to disperse
Mile
the crowd after
High
giving announcements and time to
Community
comply with those
Channel. How you
announcements.
doing?
A
I
riot
think
is
it's
something that is
I think
defined by
it's
state statute.
I
And so
think
every
Mile
state
High
has different
Community. I think
thresholds, and
we're
some states
about
don't even
420
have a
feet
rule for what a riot is. But typically around the United States, that means 2 to 5
above.
people engaged in
I
violence
don't know.
or property damage.
So is violence, I would assume that that would be a bigger issue than property.
Absolutely. Any policy, and this policy will also talk about that, is life safety issues will always be the priority.
Like,
It will
eat
always be the
your
focus. And then
spinach.
after that will be property damage. And again, in my career, when I've deployed to hundreds and hundreds of protests, I have experienced where there was people breaking
Wait,
windows, people lighting fires, people
he got
engaging in violent
deployed to
things.
hundreds and
And
hundreds
it did
of
not lead to us
protests.
declaring an unlawful assembly.
Deployed.
Yeah, there's the clarification that I want because
We need this in Akron.
there is a possibility where property is being damaged and maybe there's a self-policing in the crowd about it, but that doesn't mean that it's an unsafe place. It's just
Absolutely. And that is a lot of what I do around the country is training police commanders on what to look for and how to make those decisions. But that will be spelled out in the policy to give them guidance because the if one person throws a plastic bottle, is that an unlawful assembly? And absolutely not. There's no way that any reasonable police commander would believe because one person threw a plastic bottle at the police, the protest is over. Okay, so that's what we will strive to have clarified in the policy.
okay. And I guess before I leave, is there a way to see where we can go online to read the actual policy?
when the draft policy is written, it will be posted and it will be announced on the mayor's website, on social media, and with press releases. And then that's when the 60 days will start.
I protest. I was out here for Taylor Walker. But on what Cece was saying, we are definitely harassed. They can get our plates. They follow us. They send us to
Um,
our houses. I got a ticket just for
this is a library. It is a limited public forum. You're not allowed to protest
told to go in and get
unless, of course, it's a public meeting.
one way to kind of
But
welcome the youth to this side right here.
library people in Ohio seem to think that limited public forum means they can say you can't film individuals. Did you see me at the Cuyahoga Falls Library? I walk in and within 5 minutes, oh, Steve Kelly, Stephen Kelly, you go by, let me audit you.
Yes, I'm aware of
Just
that.
like
And so
that.
that's what I'm
Boom,
telling
I'm
you is
famous.
I'm not here to give
Welcome
opinions
to
on
Cuyahoga
policies.
Falls Library.
Okay?
Oh, no,
That's,
wait,
we're here
we're
to
here
talk
in
about
Akron.
the language that you would want to see in
This
the
guy
policy
from
for
San
protest
Francisco.
materials.
So this
And
is probably not what a moderator should do, but I think that what we're hearing is that the perceived problems are deep and systemic. And
oh,
one of the questions that arises when if you have a
here
problem
we
like that
go.
is whether you're going to have um, systemic change that happens like with an overhaul
Remember that word,
or incremental change.
systemic.
And so when you ask sort of what this is,
We
what
are
possible
supposed to be leaving
positive
this
benefit that this
era,
forum holds,
and now
it may
Akron
be that we're
is
past the point where
embracing
incremental change is acceptable.
systemic
But when there's a
stuff.
review of a particular incident
Hmm.
and the conclusion is this officer did not violate a policy, some of that is because those policies are written in a way that allow a great amount of discretion. And so on that incremental level, which again may not be enough, the policy that is produced from this process, right, um, one would hope would have clearer standards, right, that might in the future be applied with regard to a particular officer in a particular event more effectively than they have been in the past. Now that is very slow change, right? But that is the effort that is being made.
This is the last time I'm going to speak on it. This is Akron's police use of force policy. Too many pages. This is the rules of engagement policy for rule. I've employed 5 times a year in Afghanistan and Iraq. A through F. You're making this too hard. Just like you said, the policies are too deep. Make it simple, simplify. It's not hard to tell the police what they can and cannot do. It fits on a 355 button. Okay? We give them all of this leeway in these doggone policies, all these loopholes that they can use to jump in and out of doggone things they want, so they can do what they want. Make them stick to the rules, keep it simple, and make it happen. We don't have to have all these 30-page policies in order to make this work.
Thank you. I actually have a number of written questions, and I know some people don't like to come into the mic. Should have kept, oh,
Hey, appreciate you. My name is Greg. I actually grew up in this neighborhood. I went to high school. I had a brief question. As a person, probably roughly around the same age, I'm just kind of curious. Like as students of like the civil rights movement, of contemporary history in this country, if you look at protest movements, what would make you want to be on the police side of the barricades versus continue the legacy of the freedom fighters or what have you?
Yeah, and I can definitely answer that. I studied criminal justice at Howard University, so you can understand that I learned it from a certain perspective. The reality is,
Just
many
throw
people
Howard
are
University
who are
in there and
sentencing.
your perspective.
And so, as much as it's easy to say, you know what, we're going to protest from outside. We're going to have, we believe in activism. We believe in legal action. But you also need to make sure that all of these systems have people that are
Yeah,
representative.
and it's interesting. The city of
So
Akron lets you
my goal
comment,
was
but they
to
won't
go
answer.
into policing,
The
to actually be
city
somebody on the
council
inside
will
policing the way
not
I
let
believe
you
we should do that.
comment, will
Because
not
when I was in the community, I
let
didn't see
you
anybody
chat,
who looked like me who wore the uniform.
um,
And so that was my
and
motivation.
you
I
can
mean,
only
it's not
go
for
and
everybody. And
speak
believe me, I have
once
activists in
every
my
30
family.
months. I mean, you can go to
I
every meeting,
you know,
but,
love
or
people
30
who are
months,
very
30
passionate about
days. You can only
be
speak
involved in the
once
legal
every
system
30
and also
days.
being activists.
There's a lot
My
of
role was to go in and
stupid
support.
shit going on here because
Appreciate
4
that. I really
people
do.
go to the meeting.
So
4.
when we look at the
Nobody
history of
wants to go
policing in
because
the
it's
West, like in
bullshit.
the United States, I believe
You
we
know,
go way back before there even was
but
a
for
police
something like
department.
this,
Kind of the first
yeah,
units
10
of
people
policing
go,
were
and the
the
only time 10
militias that
people's
were
going or
chartered
20 people are
by
going
the
is
companies
when
that
we
were
have
out, like say, out like
an
in Europe
uprising in
to
our
be contractors.
community.
So there's always been this kind of relationship
And,
between
you
the
know,
monopoly of force and arms and technology and conquering
this shit
and
gets said.
controlling a class of workers and resources. And as we go to, like, in our contemporary history, we have the history of
I
slave
know,
labor
John
wars,
Denicola, it's
which is a
ridiculous.
history of
It
similar
is
things. You have a small ruling
crazy.
class of people who
John
control
S. Vlog, you're
force, and
still
you have a
here.
masses of people
Awesome.
who are
Love
controlled
you,
by this
dude.
force.
Glad
And
you're
so what
still
I say
hanging
is,
out.
as we go
Matter of fact,
from different
boom.
era to different era,
Look at
there are
that
different
face.
mechanisms of that
That's
exact same
John S.
relationship. And
Vlog.
so when we
Check
sit
him
here
out.
as Black people from this
Matter of
community
fact, check
who
out
are
John
ruled in a
Denicola.
specific
Check
type of
out
way, so we are subject
Michael
to a
Tristano.
monopoly of
Definitely check
force
out Mile
when we're the
High
ones getting killed,
community. You
right?
know,
And one of the methods of that
oh,
force is, like, after we move away from
yep,
slavery, we go to colonialism. And in colonialism,
yep.
what you do is, like,
It's all
we'll
about their
let
agenda.
people who
They're
look like you
hired
rule
in,
over you in our
they're
interests.
voted
But at
in
the same time,
because they
the
have a
actual
familiar name.
consequences are, like,
You know,
exactly the
it's the
same. And so
wrinkled
my question to you is, how do you look at the actual, all across the, it's not just
collection
Akron,
of
it's Cleveland,
idiots
it's
in
Cincinnati,
Akron.
it's in every state, as you see poor Black people and poor people being killed by the police, and and live with the system that exact, those law enforcement people are the instruments who implement things like COINTELPRO that killed the leadership and killed the fight back and the choices, the chance. Like, there's always a lot of talk about how we don't protest properly. There's a lot of talk about, like, not following the legal precedents and that being the reason for some type of dysfunction. But in reality, all of the organizations that gave us the gains were systematically dismantled by law enforcement itself. So my question is to you is, when is law enforcement itself going to restructure itself to be responsible for what it has done to our community? When we look at our communities and the state that our communities is in, part of that is because our leadership struggles and people like the people, the next generation after King, the Panthers, the things like that, half of them are just getting out of prison right now. And COINTELPRO is a fact. And if you don't know about COINTELPRO and you don't know about the destruction of Black liberatory organization, that is a choice. So you can't come tell us, well, as we live in communities that continually get killed. I grew up here. And when I see these people getting killed, I'm telling you straight up, it is completely unacceptable. And the only way that it can continue is if we stay uneducated and unorganized. And we have to understand what the role of policing is in the first place. It's not for us. It's for capitalists, and it's for their resources. It's to keep us of us. And so all I'm saying is that I think that you, as a Black leader in the thing, we should see Black leaders
making stance, at least at the bare minimum, against the excesses of the system, which does not happen. And I think that I don't know you personally, gentlemen, I don't mean it, but I will say, I don't see people that work for the police department that are black doing anything other besides being silent and being siloed and assigned out to buttress the system that kills us.
Thank you.
Well, I will say, if you get a second, and
You
have,
could be a
you
like
are
an
interested in
accountant
it, Google my name.
if you look like John,
and
right,
you will
John?
see something that I wrote in
Hmm?
the summer of 2020, and you will understand that I have no problem speaking up against injustice. And as a person who
I'm
works
gonna
within the
rename
police
my
system,
channel to I'm
I
an
know what's right and
asshole,
what's
but
wrong.
not tonight.
And at this point in my career, I have the platform. I have a national platform to implement change on use of force, on the way that police officers respond to protest events, to make sure that policing is constitutional. And that is my motivation. I 100% applaud your passion and what you do and your role, but there has to be people that look like us who are at the table.
Spencer, I'm going to jump in
What
ask you a
does he look
question.
like? Can we zoom in?
With all of the
Let
different
me
police
zoom
departments
in.
that
Let me
you
see if
work
I can
with,
zoom in.
what's the best outcome as far as the change
Okay, I see
that
what
you've
he
seen?
looks
Have you
like.
seen sort of small changes? Have you seen a department that really,
I guess
really turned
we
it around?
supposedly need people to look like
The
him.
reality is, human beings make up these organizations. Okay? People come from the
Here we
community,
go.
whatever biases that exist in
This,
society
I'm gonna
exist in the
post
police
this in
departments.
chat.
All
Tell
of those
me
things
if
are
this
being
is the
shaped. And when
answer.
you're talking about changing culture, I was involved in trying to change culture in an agency where I was perceived as an outsider. When I went to Idaho, I was the only black police executive in the state of Idaho when I got there. Okay? So I understand the challenge of changing culture and attempting to change the way that people, the lens through which people see life, see the world. So
Call
it is
Obama.
a huge
Call
challenge.
Big
What I would
Mike.
say is,
I don't
people, we need the
care.
best and brightest from the community.
You're
And
a
when
useless
I hear
twit.
people from the African American community suggest that somehow becoming a police officer is not a viable career, or that somehow when you put on that uniform, you're selling out your community, I would strongly object to that. We need more people from the community in those uniforms, not less.
Thank you.
Bayla Sutton. Bayla Sutton, Akron Juneteenth. Everyone keeps talking about, and all of their own bad kids running around without their parents. All of us, I'm not even about to get on everybody else. I would like to talk to y'all because this exchange y'all just had, you just
No,
cussed him
TR,
out.
they
He
just think
deserved
they
it.
do.
And then you're responsible. You get paid enough. But you
What?
told him to go get his people, the police, and get them together and make sure that they're holding them accountable. That's a black cop. Mike Miller back there, black cop, plenty of black cops in this city. And we tell them, go on over there with the good boys. We ain't good with you. You shouldn't be over there with them. And then we get upset when none of their friends want to come and police us after they under so much stress and we all so split up that nobody wants to deal with each other. None of us in this room want to deal with each other. That's the problem. Everybody's acting like funding's the problem. Do I have to ask how much this city received in funding? Did we go over that? How much did we receive in police funding last year with nothing added? Over $1 million? Over 10 million? How much did we receive? You can guess. Let's not all act dumb at the same time. $1 million. We received enough money to go ahead and just make sure we can pay for events that we know are about to be dangerous. Don't nobody want to hear what I'm about to say. Don't nobody want to hear what I've been saying for the last week. I'm sorry. Everybody is about to be mad at me. Before I say what I'm about to say, I want to ask some questions. Nobody's asking the right questions. Who believes in DEI? Who believes in it? Y'all talk about it all day. Raise your hand
Hell
if you
no. Put
believe
your
in it.
hands down. That's
I'm
retarded.
gonna put my hand down. I don't believe in it. And a lot of y'all are lying because a lot of y'all are talking crazy. If DEI worked, it had 5, 10 years to work. It had how many millions and billions of dollars poured into it? Is crime higher or lower because we all don't want to talk to each other anymore?
Seamus Malik's a DEI.
Who who can
The
defend these
whole
policies, this money?
the
The fact
whole
that
city
we have
council
money,
is
we call them all the
DEI.
names we can
You
call them
don't
for no reason. I didn't do
understand
that.
this.
I'm
You're
sorry, I've never supported it.
DEI
You will
and you
never hear me
don't
talk about
even
that.
know it.
I support black people. I am black. DEI is built off of the 13th and 14th Amendment for black people. We benefited the least. I think it's time to move away from that. Time for us not to keep arguing back and forth with each other. Because if it worked, I wouldn't be here asking for $2,000 every year for some police to come to an event that before we started doing all this mess, they were perfectly fine coming to. They didn't feel threatened. Then they messed up. We're going to call it. Everybody's going to talk about it. They messed up. You shoot these young kids because you're scared of them because you don't know them. You know them. That's why your eyes is tearing up. That's why he's mad at you. And that's why I've been mad every day because you keep talking about it. And when I had an event to attend to it, we did the same thing we're doing right now. Let's argue about a bunch of stuff that don't matter and do a bunch of stuff that don't count and keep throwing money at it and keep calling it something instead of making sure we have events where we can come and talk about these things. This shouldn't happen because we got to figure out $700,000 to avoid $20 million in a lawsuit when we got $100 million to fund it, and it still happened. It keeps happening because we're talking about whatever this is. I don't even know what it is. I did not want to come tonight because it sounds dumb. I don't like it. I know that I came and ruined y'all's bicentennial. That was me with my face out. I ain't no mask wearing, fist pumping BLM member that one of y'all had the nerve to walk past me and say, I already gave money to y'all. I don't remember standing out there and asking y'all for money.
Mhm.
What did I ask for before I started spitting
I'm
in
actually
everybody's
loving this woman now.
for some
She,
accountability? Because
I kind
do
of
the most
mistook her
work
at
here.
first,
I
but
get the most ridicule.
boom.
I have plenty of black organizations
Love
that
this
know who they
woman.
are and know they can help
Not
me
like
fighting with
West Side,
you because
though.
you're aligned with
But
things that are
damn.
I am
Thank
black.
you.
I live in Akron. If you are black and live in Akron, I invite you to come to Akron Black. We are not an organization. We don't have funding. We'd like you to bring yourself and your organization so we can talk about this amongst ourselves before you start keep ostracizing brothers like this who get the same flack. You just cussed him out. He deserved it,
Thank
I'm
you.
sure. We all do.
But
I don't want to
no,
hang out with y'all. I want to hang out with my friends. Come talk about it.
I apologize to the people who
she
wrote
said something
cards.
good and then
It
she
just
just
occurred to
went
me that,
bad.
of course, you might have written those
What the hell? She don't
questions
want to
long
talk to
before
me,
people that were standing here who we called on first. So
but
let me
she
get to
doesn't
some of
want
these
to
cards.
talk. What the hell?
What about APD shining lights into people, recording them? That violates First Amendment at protests. Is there a policy about recording, shining lights and recording protesters?
It's not something that would be specifically referenced in a policy. The best practice is that police officers should not avoid, should not restrict people from recording what they're doing in a public place. So people have a right to observe, people have a right to record. So anytime a police officer is
Well,
obstructing a person's right to observe or record,
anytime.
In this question, it sounds like it's more a concern about whether there's an
Happens
intimidation effect
to
of the police
me.
recording who's in
You
the
people. I'm
audience.
gonna do the
And
you
yes.
the
people.
way I heard it was a person was attempting to record the police and the police were using a flashlight to keep that from happening.
Oh, I see.
Suck.
Okay, I'm gonna do a couple of these. Sorry. What are the attitudes of police towards the citizens of Akron? Well, you can't answer that. Comments made by FOP leader Sergeant Lucy make it clear that the police don't respect us. How many police aren't from Akron and visit for work like it's a war zone? So that's not a question, although there is
Sergeant
a
Lucy.
law-related answer about how the requirement for police to live in the city was overturned at the state level, which is
And
a problem
by
that
the
Akron
way,
can't solve by itself.
Sergeant Lucy,
Can
fuck
we bar
you.
protesters? I'm sorry. Let me do one. What about police using flock and other mass surveillance to politically surveil, harass people using their First Amendment rights?
Yep.
Mass surveillance.
Flock cameras.
Presumably, this is about harassing people using their First Amendment rights. I think that a lot of these questions are about not the police action at the event, right, but repercussions afterwards, police remembering people, and then, right, we've heard a lot of stories about parking outside their house, really, really intimidating. What's your experience with that?
I guess the challenge, the part that I will address is the use of technology. So any police policy that addresses First Amendment protected free speech should take into account that the police should not be engaged in activity that chills free speech or stops people from exercising their rights. So that can come in many different forms, and we just need to make sure that the policy reflects that actions taken by the police that would stop an ordinary person or deter an ordinary person from protesting are potentially a violation of the Constitution.
I'll read one more and then come to you. This is a comment, but I think it raises an issue. We don't want community dialogue team. There is no trust. Columbus protesters don't like it either, but politicians do. Can you explain how a community dialogue team does anything but counter surveil? So there's a dark side of the.
Sure. This is not a problem that is unique to Akron as far as the lack of police legitimacy or trust between the community and the police. The purpose of the dialogue policing unit or those specialized officers is to try to engage the community and engage people who are protesting without sending out tactical officers or officers who are taking enforcement action. One of the questions when I was talking to members of the community before several weeks ago, one of the questions I had for one of the activists was, what could the police do to build trust with the community, right? Like, if anybody was willing to extend an olive branch and willing to communicate and try to build a relationship, what steps could the police take to improve that relationship? And
I could think of a few things.
And I understand when people put their
Oh
guards
shit!
up, and
I put that up there and I
they recognize that
misspelled
the
it.
police are putting their
Oh
guards up,
well.
right? The police maybe don't want to engage because they feel attacked, or they don't, or the door is not open to communication. So I would challenge everybody to think, okay, what is that common ground? Right? Where can people meet, and what are the opportunities for the police and the community to build a better relationship?
So I'll keep it short because I already asked some stuff. I'm actually going to call on you to do something. You are here for crowd control, but you're picking up fragments of other issues. I would appreciate you writing a report to the people you give their information to of other things that you, because culture is a big one. I have said that I protest, okay? I go to city council regularly also. Last city council meeting of last year, because I had interacted with people from the FOP who used their power to get privilege I read on Facebook about, oh, the union's coming out. I took that time. I'm the one that texted and called and emailed every council member. Because I didn't want the police bully the citizens. I didn't want them to push us out of the room. Now, in the line, we had public, a group of public, and we had a gang of police officers who were off duty, and they are allowed to be there, and and all that stuff, and they have free speech also. But I call it a gang because it actually is a gang, Tango 22. Okay. I was in my Santa suit because at Christmas time I do that, and I'm a tall guy, and I got up in line, and I had a off-duty officer who was throwing elbows, trying to push me out, and I didn't let him push me. I stood my ground. I wasn't rude, but I wasn't polite either. And then going into go through the check, I had a officer who yelled at me, "Oh, I don't know Santa delivered pot." So what? And that is so insulting to me because you know what? I'm not smart into drugs or anything. At my previous residence, someone used my house as a drop and had something delivered. And I picked it up, I walked it in, I opened it, and I'm like, oh shit, it's pot. It was a box full of pot. And what did I do with it?
Have a
I
nice
turned
night.
it over to the police.
See you later, TR.
I think in order to address
Thank you all for
our
sticking around. I
damage
appreciate
and
it.
everything
I didn't know what was
attitude
going to
that they
happen.
have towards us.
Well, I did the first 10 minutes. I just rewinded it,
So
but
I'll leave that.
yeah, I don't know.
This is actually the very first card that I got, and I was holding it for later, and I think it's now later. So there's a couple of parts, but there's
The
similar.
fuck did he
The first part is
say?
about training.
He was going to hold
We talk
something
about
for
what are
later, and he
procedures
thinks
prior to
it's
a
now
protest. Is there
later.
actual training
Not now and
discussed
later,
multiple times, or just
candy
reading a
thing.
manual? So that's about the nature of the training that police officers might get. And then after an event, are there clear consequences if an officer uses inappropriate violence or behavior?
Okay, so as far as training, there's a lot. One of the things that we're doing on the national level from the National Tactical Officers Association is trying to establish a baseline for protest
Michael
training in the
Tristano, you're
States,
telling me
things
to
that have
email
never existed.
Star
So
Chase,
we
Apple,
created the first
Roku,
national
Stingray, and
standard
Mecca?
for public order. And if you imagine throughout the history of the United States, that standard, a standard for how police agencies should create a public
Here,
order specialty unit
that?
and respond to protest events
Are
has
you
never existed.
telling me to
So we
email
created,
that
the second thing we did was create a
with
command
this?
force. So the
With
reality is,
this?
in the United States,
I
most
mean, email that?
police agencies do not have specialized training
Hey,
on how to plan for
email
and how
who?
to
Them?
manage the response to a protest. So
Hey.
my team, they're right now, send 3 officers to each location. We travel around the United States and we teach police
Don't
commanders
mess with
how to
me.
manage protest events. And that is a certification
Or do. It
process.
doesn't matter. We can
The other
still
thing
have
that we
fun.
created was a grenadier, the first of its kind grenadier training. So grenadiers are the officers that use
Grenades.
specialty munitions, the less lethal munitions. Some people sometimes refer to as rubber bullets. Those, tear gas, pepper spray, all those different munitions. That is a specialized area of policing. And so my team has created the first training for using those munitions and using them in a lawful way. And the last thing is
It's
the on-the-ground training, how officers actually engage with members of the crowd. That's another aspect. So yes, there's ongoing training. My goal
what,
is to
like
make
the
sure that we
insurance
create these
companies
baselines
that,
and
you know,
actual
screw us
national
all over?
standards
You
for
want,
how police
You want me to just go and investigate them?
The-
You're the one
uh,
sitting on the
there's gonna be
Mustang.
consequences if an officer uses inappropriate behavior.
Sure. I heard earlier about, internal affairs investigations and some of those things. The short answer is yes, but that is specific to each jurisdiction. So within APD, there's some process to investigate internal complaints, which are policy violations. You have a prosecutor in this area that looks at whether there's probable cause to believe that an officer committed a crime. And then there's also civil litigation, which is what I'm involved in a ton, is a allegation that an officer violated some person's civil rights.
It's your
There was a
YouTube
civil litigation
thing,
to
like
try to hold that person
mine's a
accountable
red
through
skull with
civil
a hat I
process.
threw away
So all
four
of those
months
different
ago.
aspects are accountability measures, but the purpose, and Dr. Lee talked about, is you can't have a policy violation if you don't have things clearly spelled out in policy. And so we really need to have a policy that says you cannot do these things, and when an officer um, violates that policy, then they can be held accountable.
Thank you. Over here.
Oh, okay. Policies, companies. I don't know.
I
Confusing.
have read the settlement agreement, and I have downloaded the original complaint and scanned through it, but I can't say I read it in its entirety.
Okay, I would highly suggest you look over the affidavits, the original restraining order, because that would normally would end, I think, a lot of the frustration we're having today.
Well, I would object to that because a lot of this is not about
We only
whether.
have like 12 more minutes.
Okay.
I would also encourage you to read the court documents relating to the protest lawsuits that preceded the bail bonds, because that many of those people are not here, but they were more completed, and that would inform you about what APD does to people on the ground, right? So please read those. That would support you a lot. I think another thing you have to contend with is just the fact that the police in this town are don't follow the policies that are written down, and so that's probably something that you're gonna have to figure out. Is like they don't follow them, and then what do we do? So what do we do then? I do agree police should just not respond at all to these protests. Like if they're doing support policy where it's hands off until property damage or harm has occurred, I think that would be like fantastic, because honestly, like all the property damage that and supposed violence that's happened at protests have only happened after
The hell?
initial like escalated tensions, tear gas. You mentioned a water balloon. Like was that just kind of like on the nose joke, or like why did you mention a
Oh
water
my
balloon?
gosh, this was 2 hours long. I had no
What I said is I use that as
idea.
the standard when I train
I
police
had no
commanders.
idea this was
Because that's literally
2 hours long.
police gate.
I'm so sorry, people. I would have,
Like this is
you
what
know,
meetings were like. You would see like the police
nah, just sit here and watch it with you.
I just don't think like tear gas should not be used as stairs. Like police audio recording of a woman calling 911 where she got hit in the head by a tear gas canister. There were people in the neighborhood that were part of the protest who were afraid that tear gas was going to harm their children because they were at picnics. So no tear gas, no kettling. That's what happened. Not necessarily at County Road, but downtown where the restrictions were. Instances at did. They just lined up on the other side of the street, told people to disperse, but there was nowhere to disperse to because they blocked all the exits, and then they just mass arrested everybody. Additionally, the tanks and the SWAT vehicles don't necessarily
Oh, 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 wait, 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 what?
be at protests.
It's almost 7:20 p.m. and I just realized,
Police at protests are usually
um,
individuals, like people who work as medics, people who are reporting police
I'm
activity.
listening to an idiot,
No
um,
time has
in a
passed.
yellow
Cities,
jacket with a
some
black
can make it
beanie
right. It
talk.
seems like these people
And there's another 15 minutes of this.
um,
And quite frankly, we've been dealing with this for an hour and 45 minutes,
I
people.
think it's also people
Um,
targeting after, and like I think
and
it's
it doesn't get any
so
better. I fast forwarded another screen. So
stance is right now.
I'm sorry that I brought you this,
And because they target people with political stance.
but I'm glad I did anyways. Have a great night.
I do think as a matter of
Uh,
law, we should report the cost.
What the hell? This is why I don't go to public meetings.